A lot of tests when it comes to physical activity should be different between men and women. Some of them can be the same, but men and women differ the most physically just because of sexual dimorphism. Things like testosterone and estrogen make men and women, in a sense, physically who they are.
I don't think it should be the same. I have several friends who are military, and there is just the way in which a man's body is created, his center of gravity, the way that muscles are developed, strength styles, that leads to being able to do certain tasks, physical tasks, more effectively or efficiently than a woman's build because of how they're constructed is able to. And it's not hindering their ability to be a good soldier or a good member of the team if they can't do as many push-ups, or if they do a different style of push-ups, because it's still about pushing yourself to your absolute physical max and going from there.
I don't think it should be a different standard. It should be like more an individual standard, because I don't think we should split it by gender. I think it should be by the individual's abilities.
Yeah, I mean that's different because that's an actual biological difference, right? We have women that have less muscle mass than men, so it's if the goal is to integrate the armed forces to have women, then you have to change the test based on biology. That's just pure, honest to goodness. It's not an attitude, so they still have to run. They still have to do pull-ups. They still have to do fewer because of the way the biology works. That's if that's the goal of the U.S. Army. If it isn't, then don't include women.
There's certain conditions that require maybe more strength that men and women need to be able to be fit for. I don't think it's purely a sex thing, man versus woman. It's more technique and strength and agility.
That's fair.
Okay.
Women are not as physically capable as some things as men.
It's just another way that we're like, oh, men can't show feminine characteristics. You must show the masculine characteristics. Men are not allowed to have these female characteristics. And so they're shunned and like kind of judged for it, and that's stupid.
I have a lot of friends who are stay-at-home dads. So yeah, I think that's probably a generational thing. A lot of it now it's about economics, so it depends on who makes the most money. So it makes the most, for whom does it make the most sense to stay at home? And do you want to stay at home? I mean, I never wanted to stay at home. I'm a better mother because I work, because I'm outside the home.
Yeah, at this point in time, things have changed. The old standard of the housewife being home with the children and the man out being the breadwinner, that's changed quite a bit. And I think at this point in time, it shouldn't really matter either way.
No, I think whatever works for a couple. If a woman's stronger point is holding a job and having a career, then that's good. And if the guy is capable of nurturing, and I think that's amazing and a wonderful thing to see. So I guess again, I'm contradicting myself.
Yeah, that's another thing that shouldn't be gender-based or sex-based.
On the first date, you should always pay. No. I think that there's certain, etiquette type traditional things that are in play that I don't think there's anything wrong with the woman offering or suggesting, but I have certain girlfriends who, if the guy doesn't pay on the first date, and she's very much, powerful and makes her own money and does her own thing, but if a guy doesn't pay on the first date, he's out.
No, that requires no thought. Male and female, both men and women, can pay for dinner. It's probably a really good sign if you both either do it it's never a gender's role to pay for anything, really, or it shouldn't be.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I never thought about
I definitely don't think it constitutes prostitution to let a man pay for your dinner. However, I don't believe they should always be responsible to pay for dinner. I think sometimes a woman can pick up the tab, and sometimes a man should pick up the tab.
Okay.
In this day and age, people are pretty much, everybody works, and I think you take turns.
I think it really depends on the arrangement. Usually the person asking to go to dinner is the one that pays for dinner. I don't think it should be viewed as prostitution, just a nice thing to do for somebody.
It depends on where you are in the relationship. I think if a man asks you out on the first date, the expectation should be that he pays for dinner. But then if you're the woman, you ask him out, then you should pay for dinner. I mean, that to me, it's like, it's kind of a first date type thing. It's like whoever asks the other person out is paying. That's the first date.
If the men pay for dinner, that's cool. If the female wants to pay for dinner, that's cool too. I mean, if you're talking about two guys too, I mean, like, what do you do in that situation, you know?
I think men and women react differently because they work out of the opposite sides of their brain.
Okay.
They think differently. Men are more logical, women are more emotional. I guess that comes from a conversation I had earlier this week about having a female president.
Okay.
I'm a little concerned having a menopausal woman being in charge of the atomic nuclear button.
Okay.
That could be ugly. Whereas a man, I think, would be a little more logical in making that final decision.